Back. We got the lid off this thing. It is a mess. Like I said, these in the last video, these shock socks, I mean, they just took a beating. The springs just chewed them up. And I had an issue with these RC Max or X Max RC Studio shock socks from the very start because they were too long. They were just too long. If you look at outerwear or any of the brand name stuff that you can get from DDM and TGN and, you know, all the main sites, the shock socks actually fit perfect and they sit like a tube, you know, there's no wrinkles in them. These things were an absolute mess. They were all wrinkled and crinkled up because they were way too long. I mean, my shocks, I had the factory boots on there, so, you know, I'm assuming they're okay. They definitely leaked fluid, which I expected. I definitely expected that, and there's a little bleeder hole there, all filled up with clay. So the rear shocks are coming off. I'll empty them out and refill them. And these springs, these are the Losi red springs. I did Losi red springs in the front and the back. I replaced the red Kingmotor springs that were on there. And to be honest, I'm really not impressed with the red springs in the back of this thing, especially when I had the silencer mounted before I hacked it off. The ass end of this truck had a pretty good weight to it, you know, and I mean, considering there's barely any fluid left in these things, either way, I don't like the way it's sitting. Of course, I still have some adjustment room there, but I really don't want to be putting too much of a load on the springs by adjusting that collar all the way down. It's just sitting really low. But at the track, it is ideal. I mean, I keep my grub screws set so that the arms are almost parallel because it just seems to land perfect coming down the other side of a jump, or, you know, and as far as like coming around corners, the ass end just tucks down, and I don't know, it just performs well like that. But I really feel like she's sitting a little too low for my liking. I feel like I need a little more spring in the back, but it is what it is. I'll figure that out. Of course, we got the bent shock tower, which I'll probably just bend back. The Kingmotor Deluxe version comes with all the stock plastic in a bag, so I could just put the stock plastic one back on there, but I'll probably just bend this back. And I may even play with the adjustments on here as far as the placement of the shock. We'll see how that goes, just to, you know, now that I'm going to be running it at the track for a full season, play with things a little bit and see what I can learn. Of course, I blew out the rear sway bars. That happens pretty much every time I go to the track. Rear bumper, it's got a nice concave to it now, and I busted this piece again. I don't even think I'm going to fix some of this stuff, to be honest with you. It's just going to break again. I'll see if I can, you know, just kind of hack it for now and make it a little bit stronger, because the track, our open track day is on November 18th. Of course, that is what is left of my hostile Pedlocks, my white ones. They were so shiny, and they actually looked good. It worked out when I put the Baja wheels on there because of the body, the K&N wrap being orange and white. It just worked out. So I don't think these are going to make it back to my Baja. She's too shiny and pretty for this kind of stuff. The Venom battery, like I was saying in the previous video, I'm really impressed with it. If you guys have your stock Kingmotor or stock Rovin batteries, I can honestly say I've owned 3 of them, and they were all junk, every one of them. Those wall charges that come with these rigs are junk. Do not charge your battery with those and think you're doing the right thing, because you're not. They're absolute junk. For 19 bucks, this 3000 mAh 6-volt pack ran stronger and longer and took a nice cool charge. Battery was cool to the touch all the way up to 3000 mAh. It's just, you know, a better battery. So I'm impressed with that. And you know, those of you guys that are still running NYMA, so, you know, nickel metal hydride, I know a lot of people upgraded to LiPo, and of course that's the way to go, you know. If you, I don't know why I'm bothering putting that on with one hand, if you can. I know a 2S LiPo will work with the stock low-C servos. I was curious about maybe doing something like that because, of course, you're definitely going to get a better charge and, you know, more power from a LiPo. But I'm running one stock low-C servo. That's a steering servo I'm using for the throttle and brake setup. And, of course, I have a Kingmotor servo, a Kingmotor steering servo. Check this out. I noticed this. And this is, I guess, why those servo clamps are so important. You go ahead and grab a screwdriver and I'll show you guys what I noticed. I noticed a bunch of space on this servo. I'm moving the phone as I do it. You see that? Watch. Those servo clamps are definitely worth it. It's already worn and elongated those holes there. You can see where the screw originally sat. So that's from kick back through the push-pull rod to the horn and just kind of moving the servo, you know, back and forth and back and forth. So yeah, I got to take care of that. Probably pick up a set of those servo clamps. The RC Rockhammer bracket basically gives you servo clamps along with stopping the servo from moving back and forth. I don't know if you guys noticed in a previous video I put nuts on the end of these. Go ahead and do that if you haven't done it. The threads will back out of this. The Rovin LT305 comes with the nuts on there. The TLR brake kit held up great. Brakes worked great. The low-C 5B is what this kit is made for. The kit is designed with nuts on the back of the Anchorman screws. Normally on the 5B the nuts have a place inside the housing for the diff. So because this is not set up with a recessed spot for that nut, the nut grabs only a small portion of the Anchorman screw, which is unfortunate, but enough to hold it. And with a little Loctite and you know, on there tight enough, you're not going to have any issues. I ran this truck for 8 hours solid over the course of 2 days, and I didn't have any issues. Those bolts haven't moved a smidge. I lost a grub screw here. I don't have any leakage, no oil, anything crazy. I do need to get a new spark plug wire. That thing's toasted. I taped it because it was ripping to pieces. I was really impressed with the amount of dirt inside my rig. That 30 North panel kit and those full force fenders did a pretty good job of keeping dirt out. I've got the full force 3/4 windshield too. I expected this thing to be an absolute mess, and to be honest, it's not. All the dirt, you can see I scraped it off here. All the clay is just, you know, in the usual spots. My center diff, I thought I had a bit of a leak. Well, I know I did. I noticed that there is a little bit of clay that's moist down in there, but nothing crazy. Either way, I'm going to pull it apart before the next race. I bought a gasket, and I believe I have the seal So I'm going to go ahead and get the fluid that's in there out of there, put some 30 weight in there. I just ordered it. It arrived a week or so ago. So there is a little bit of sand sitting down in there. I upgraded the fuel lines. I definitely recommend you guys do that. It was sitting for maybe a week, and I came out to start it. It wouldn't start. I noticed after poking around that the factory fuel lines had basically just disintegrated right here below this grommet where they come into the tank. Both of them let go and kind of disintegrated. So I had those fuel lines that came with the G5, so I just put those on there. And I just actually ordered 2 feet from DDM for like $4, so I can do the Baja because the Baja also has stock fuel line on it. And I believe in the end I'll still have enough left over for that tank. I noticed that the steering rods here are really chewed away. There's not much left at all. So I'm definitely going to have to buy a set of these and just bring them to the track with me. I think I could change them out beforehand, but see how it's just torn away from the wheel? I'm just going to wait until they break, but I will bring a set with me. The front shock socks seem to be in pretty good shape. This one's really wet looking, as you can see the difference between the two. So something tells me this shock is leaking real bad. I mean, look at that. Nothing broke on the front bumper. The lights I had already taken out because they're in pairs, and one of them had already broken the first time I took it up there. This front sway bar is still intact. I don't know if it's tight, but yeah, it's still tight. Didn't have any problems with the factory gas cap. My air filter looks like it's in pretty good shape. Like I said, if you take your air filter pre-filter off, or when you take it off, you know how you have the plastic ring here. I grease the insides of the plastic ring on this side and on this side so that it sandwiches the filter, and the filter kind of sticks to the edge because the plastic piece will move, and it allows air down through and sand and dirt down through. I used that grease trick the last time I was at the track, and what a difference. The cob was nice and clean when I pulled everything off, as opposed to the time before that. I didn't do it. When I pulled off everything and looked at the cob, I about fell over. I couldn't believe how much dirt and sand and clay was all stuck in the butterfly. It was disgusting. I thought the motor was going to be junk. So that's a little trick I picked up from Team Fast Eddie on one of their videos. And yeah, I basically just used, I don't know, all-purpose grease. They use some special stuff, but the Rovin Easy Start pull start worked great. No issues with it. I didn't even have any issues with sand or dirt or clay. Locking up the butterflies there, the levers that I used for the mechanism that bolts to the flywheel. And again, if you guys haven't seen this fan cover is the easy off pull start fan cover. Basically, you just pull these two body clips, and I can pull my pull start right off. And you can get that from hurricaneart.com. Hurricane Art, for those of you guys that have trouble with my accent. So, yeah, this is what's left of this bad Larry. Like I said, these are junk. So I'm going to pull these rear shocks off, pull the fronts off, check them out, see if I can just fill them or they need to be rebuilt, see what's going on there, see what I can get away with as far as the plastics that broke, and because I really don't want to replace a bunch of stuff and then just go break it again. I had to blow it all off with some high pressure air, see how clean we can get her. This is, of course, the body. And again, I was pretty impressed with how well the wrap stayed. I really thought plate like areas like this, it would just be destroyed. This is kind of disappointing. But what are you going to do? In the end, these 30 North panels are definitely worth it, guys. No doubt. No doubt. This piece busted here. That was from that big impact that bent the shock tower. And if you didn't see the last video, the upper A-arm in the rear came up and busted the full force fender well. This fender well I had previously cut prior to cutting or deciding to cut off the silencer. So this one didn't end up getting broken. And I did in fact manage to rip the 30 North panel. I think I might be the first guy to do that. I cut out the little screen that they have in there. It drove me nuts not being able to get my hand in there to get at the kill switch and also my on and off switch. Having the full force windshield restricts that, you know what I mean? So I needed to be able to get in, and not to mention, I honestly like it better without that funny little cage. This panel kit is like a kind of a funny purple pinkish. It's not really red. It's advertised as red, but it's not. And to be honest, I didn't really like the color showing anyway. So, yeah, pretty good shape, guys. I'm impressed with this body kit. And other than the couple busted pieces of cage, she should be ready to go. Looks like it'll be a few hours out here cleaning it and you know, getting the shock situation taken care of, which is of course regular maintenance for a track. Ordering a few things to make sure that I'm good to go when I get there if anything breaks. One of the guys that I met up at the track, another guy out there, Danny, he's reached out to me through YouTube and he's gonna hook me up with a pipe. He's got a VRC pipe. I can't say enough about the people in this hobby. You know, I can't wait till I can finally pay it forward when I get to that point where I can, you know, help newcomers out and, you know, guys like me that have only been doing this a year or so. It's humbling and it's much appreciated. So yeah, he's going to hook me up with a pipe for free because I went ahead and cut my silencer off, and I was a noob and didn't realize that all the pipes that they're running up at the track, they don't have silencers on them because they're internally silenced. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought that last time I was up there, I was thinking, I remember he told me not to, you know, when I first went up, I remember I brought the Baja. They gave me a can muffler for the day. I took off the rear dom pipe, and they gave me a little can. Well, after that, I saw their pipes. It's the time I brought this up with the silencer on it. I saw all their pipes. None of them had silencers, so I figured, oh, I'll just cut this thing off. You should have seen how loud this thing was. It was embarrassing. The owner was like, oh my God. But he let me run. He's a nice guy. He let me run it for the day. And he just said to make sure I got a silencer next time. So, or of course, silenced exhaust. So I'm looking forward to that. And we'll see how that works out. Oh, by the way, the Torex clutch, if you guys aren't familiar with these clutches, this is a Big Speed 2 Torex. It's a German company, German race team. They are not selling this clutch on their website, so I had a little trouble getting information on it. Hurricane Art also sells these clutches. He's out of stock right now, but he sells and runs these clutches. I just got off the phone with him a few minutes ago. As I mentioned in the last video, I picked this up. It's unused, but I picked it up for 50 bucks, and there's no information on these online. So what he was able to tell me is that after checking out what he has to say on his website in the store, he mentions that they're good from anywhere between 6,000 and I think 10,000 RPM adjustments, and they've ran them on OBR 38cc Widowmakers, you know, so even on the higher power engines, and have had no issues with them. As far as like a full season of racing, these clutches have lasted a full season. So yeah, I was like, all right, well, that's good news, but they're all adjustable by these grub screws, and I don't have a chart to know where to adjust it. So it turns out a full turn and a half and a pinch will get you at about 8,500. Turn it all the way in, all 4 screws, all 4 of them, you're looking at about 9,500 to 10,000 RPM grabbing. Keeping it flush, you're going to grab at about 6,000 RPM. So that was nice of him to call me, and I reached out to him through Facebook, and he took the time to call me and kind of walk me through it. He was just out at the West Coast Nationals, and his rig, he's running one of these clutches, so that was good to know too. And he's going to be carrying the shoes for them. I guess the only issue with this particular type of clutch is removing it. You need a Torex clutch removal tool, which is pretty expensive. But from what I understand, he said that you can replace the shoes without removing the actual clutch. So we'll see how that goes. Stay tuned, guys. I just wanted to show you what this rig looked like. Again, this is a Kingmotor X2. This is an aftermath open track day. She drove off the track with nothing more than a battery upgrade, some shock socks, low-C red springs, low-C TLR 5B brake upgrade, and a kill switch, RC Rockhammer servo bracket, pre-filters, stock engine, cut silencer, some MX style tires, Hostile B locks. You're looking at about maybe $1,200, including the price of the rig. This is the Kingmotor Deluxe, and she ran hard all day. I promise I'll get the video up as soon as possible. Thanks again for watching, guys.